Jack Doherty didn't just fall off. He got launched out of relevance so hard you could hear the echo. And honestly, no one's even pretending to be shocked. This is the same guy who built his entire internet identity on harassment pranks, treating girlfriends like business assets, and live streaming reckless stunts like they were Olympic events. Now he's back in his mom's house, begging for Instagram followers like a washed-up reality star who finally learned what consequences mean. But to really understand how far he fell, we have to rewind to the moment Jack thought he was untouchable. Back in 2017, at just 14, he found the most toxic recipe for going viral imaginable. Step 1, be as irritating as physically possible. Step 2, shove a camera in strangers' faces until someone snaps. Step 3, upload it all and watch the algorithm turn chaos into cash. And for a while it worked. By 2019, Jack was pulling $40,000 to $60,000 a month just from ads. Add in a few random sponsorships from companies who clearly never watched his content, and suddenly he was living in a mansion he couldn't pronounce. But behind the fast cars and fake flexing, something darker was growing. A business, a machine, built on people, not partners. Jack started DMing young women with large followings, usually just barely adults, promising easy money in management. What they didn't realize was that his contracts quietly handed him 50 to 70% of every dollar they made. He controlled everything, their posting schedules, their content, their pricing, even when they were allowed to take breaks. This wasn't management. This was manipulation wrapped in a business suit. And then everything cracked wide open when McKinley Richardson, Jack's girlfriend for 2 years, finally spoke up. She revealed that Jack pressured her into content she didn't want to make and even threatened to send her home if she refused. But what people didn't know yet was that this was just the surface. Leaked messages later showed Jack pitting the women he managed against each other, creating fake competition, and squeezing every ounce of money he could out of them. And then McKinley dropped the bombshell. Jack was making almost $500,000 a month from her content alone. $500,000. Every single month. At that point, she wasn't his girlfriend. She was his paycheck. And when she finally had enough, she didn't just leave. She took the entire operation with her. She changed the passwords, locked Jack out of the accounts, and vanished. In one night, Jack didn't just lose a partner. He lost his entire income stream. His mansion, too expensive. His cars, repossessed. His employees, gone. And Jack, back where it all started, his childhood home. But instead of taking accountability, Jack did what Jack always does. He went live. For hours, he sat in front of the camera, ranting, crying, pulling up screenshots, acting like the world had wronged him. Not once did he consider that maybe, just maybe, he was the problem. But the money problem was only getting worse. Jack was burning through nearly $90,000 a month while making maybe 15 on a good month. Simple math. He was screwed. So what does a desperate influencer do when the money runs out? Easy. They chase the next big scam. Jack jumped straight into crypto, launching a Solana-based token he promised would change lives. He hyped it nonstop across every platform, buying shoutouts, faking returns, and convincing his teenage fans that this was their golden ticket. And for a moment it worked. The coins skyrocketed. People were posting screenshots of massive gains. Everyone thought Jack had actually pulled off something big. But behind the curtain, Jack and his inner circle were dumping their tokens. Blockchain data later showed they sold 87% of the supply in just 48 hours. The price collapsed by 96% overnight. Fans, many of them teenagers, lost an estimated $2.8 million. Jack? He walked away with $1.2 million and hid it offshore. But karma isn't instant. It's patient. And for Jack, it finally arrived on October 15th, 2024. During a brutal Miami rainstorm, Jack was live streaming while speeding through the city in his McLaren. Visibility was awful. Everyone else slowed down. Jack sped up. He hit 78 miles per hour before hydroplaning, sliding over 150 feet, and smashing into a barrier so hard the entire chassis bent. His cameraman was injured. Airbags exploded. It was chaos. But the worst part? Jack didn't care. He didn't check on anyone. He didn't pause the stream. He didn't even look scared. He was excited, genuinely hyped, bragging to chat about crazy content while emergency responders were literally running toward the wreck. Within hours, the clip had 15 million views, and within days, everything fell apart. Kick permanently banned him, instantly cutting off his $70,000 a month paycheck. Sponsors pulled out. Insurance refused to cover the damages. Lawsuits piled up. By the end of the year, Jack had lost an estimated $1.8 million in sponsorships alone and owed over $400,000 in damages. His empire had officially collapsed. But instead of rebuilding, Jack is right back to his old habits. Fake giveaways, begging for followers, partnering with shady promoters, doing harassment pranks in public like it's still 2018. And here's the truth. People aren't watching Jack for entertainment anymore. They're watching for the crash. Every video is just another chapter in his downfall. A live, real-time case study in how internet fame built on manipulation and chaos eventually destroys itself. Jack Doherty didn't get unlucky. He got exposed by his own camera, his own ego, in the fake lifestyle he worshipped. When you treat relationships like contracts, fans like ATMs, and chaos like content, so what do you think? Is this karma, or is there actually a chance Jack crawls his way back? Let me know in the comments. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace. But here's the part nobody expected. After losing everything, the sponsors, the money, the mansion, the cars, the reputation, Jack actually tried to make a comeback, and not the kind you'd think. He didn't apologize. He didn't reflect. He didn't take accountability. No, Jack Doherty came back with a brand new persona, the misunderstood anti-hero, the guy who claims the world is out to get him because he's too real, too unfiltered, too honest. He started posting these bizarre videos where he'd stare into the camera, ranting about how everyone was jealous of him, how the industry was scared of his potential, how haters made him famous in the first place. It wasn't confidence. It was delusion wrapped in motivational quotes. According to Jack, every mistake was actually a strategic move. Every scam was a miscommunication. Every consequence was proof that the system couldn't handle someone like him. It was the same old ego, just wearing a different hoodie. Then came the weirdest phase of all. Jack decided he was now a financial guru. I'm not joking. The same man who burned through $90,000 a month while making 15 suddenly started giving advice on wealth building, passive income, and crypto mastery. He'd sit in his childhood bedroom, LED lights flickering behind him, explaining how he scaled multiple income streams, how he built an empire from scratch, and how followers could escape the matrix by buying his new mentorship program. A mentorship program from a guy who lost everything in under 6 months. And here's the insane part. People actually bought it. Not many, but enough for Jack to keep pushing the illusion. Enough to convince himself he was still relevant. Enough to keep the fantasy alive that he could claw his way back to the top through pure charisma and recycled hustle quotes. But the cracks showed fast. Negative reviews, refund requests, screenshots of broken promises, people exposing him for ghosting his own students. Fans realizing that Jack didn't have a blueprint for success. He had a blueprint for running from failure. And right when it seemed like he couldn't sink any lower, he tried to pivot again. This time, Jack reinvented himself as a reality show star, a walking spectacle who'd stage fake arguments in public, pretend to get kicked out of stores, and film chaotic skits with random strangers just to get attention. It wasn't content. It was desperation disguised as entertainment. He even tried collaborating with smaller creators, hoping their loyal fan bases would rub off on him. But every collab ended the same way. Jack starting drama, pushing boundaries, and making everything about himself until the other creator bailed. It was a pattern he couldn't escape, because he was the pattern. And the saddest part? Jack genuinely believes there's still a comeback waiting for him. That one viral clip will magically erase the scams, the manipulation, the crash, the bans, the lies. He's chasing a version of himself that never actually existed. a fantasy built on shock value and borrowed clout.